Hey everyone, PianoManChuck here, back again with the Casio CGP-700, which should also apply to the Privia PX-360 and PX-560. Alright, so the other day I did an intro to basically the sequencer or multi-track recorder, and I touched on a section over here called the mixer section. So I want to go into a little bit more detail about that mixer section. So here we're looking at the main menu right here with a bunch of icons. So let's go over to the second screen of this main menu. And you'll see that there is a mixer selection. So we'll press on that mixer icon and we're into the mixer portion of this keyboard right now. So down here you'll notice there's port A, and if I press it, it becomes port B, and if I press it again, it becomes port C, and if I press it again, it goes back to port A. Well, port A, that's basically when you start the keyboard up and you're just kind of playing around, that's where port A comes in. And what's here on the first track of port A is whatever you've chosen as your main upper one keyboard. So whether it's piano or something else, this is where you get to control everything about that. Now, also what's available in this port A, if you choose to have accompaniment, you can see tracks 11, 12, 13, 14. So you can adjust those too, but let's turn that off for a second. And if I turn those on, you'll see tracks 9 and 10 with the drums. All right, so let's turn that off. So basically, for all of these different 16 tracks, for each one of them, you can see right now we're on page 1 of 3 of what we can alter or change or enhance. And you'll see that we can change the volume and the pan. And if we go down to the next 2 of 3, 2 of 3, the chorus tune, fine tune, and bend range, which we're not going to get into, but we'll go on to page 3 of 3. Reverb send, chorus send, delay send. So if you know what all of those are, you can adjust all of those things. So basically, when you're playing something, let's say I want to adjust the reverb send. Let's just click on that and use the data wheel. As I increase, you're going to hear a little bit more reverb. So let's go back to where we were. I believe it was at 40. Okay, and you can do the same thing with chorus. Hear the difference? And the same thing with delay. And you can do that with anything that's on any of these 16 tracks. Okay? So now, the other day I went and I did a video about sequencing multi-track recording, and I showed you that when you go to the mixer section, you go to port C, and that's what that is all about. And it's not just for that. If you take like a USB thumb drive with a MIDI file, you put it in, you start playing back, that's where you have control of all 16 tracks here, and it's basically the same thing. So of all the 16 tracks, you have control of everything. That's what port C is all about. Port C is for MIDI 16-track playback, whether you did it yourself using this machine or you're using a thumb drive playing everything back. Now, port B is a little bit different. Now, if you remember in that video that I showed you of how to do multi-track recording or sequencing, and I said you can basically adjust tracks 1 through 16, but if you recorded a system track, you can't adjust that at all. Well, yeah, you can. And that was what port B is all about. Port B is strictly for that system track. And that system track can have some other stuff on it too, but you can adjust everything about that system track on port B. Now, where the confusion comes is everything as far as the MIDI world is 16 tracks, and Casio comes along and does a system track, which is cool. You know, other people do that too. Other manufacturers do that too. But it's not part of the 16 tracks. It's a track by itself. So they give you actually a 17th track. And because that's not part of MIDI, which port C handles, where you can do track 1 through 16, it's a separate track. So basically, that's what the port B is all about. So if I go back to the main menu and I go back to my MIDI recorder from what I did the other day and I start playing back, and I go to my mixer, port C, and you can see what's going on over there. Tracks 1 and 2 that you're seeing here are basically the second and third instrument are recorded, because the first one is on the system track, which you can alter on port B. So anyway, hope this helps you out. The mixer section is really cool. You can do a lot with it. PianoManChuck, peace out. Thanks for watching.